proceed immediately by giving answers to questions that were posed yesterday by the members of Parliament. First, I'm going to start with a Member of Parliament, Mrs. Melissa Gums. Her first question was parameters for the loan for GEB generator. What is the plan from the government? What is the concept behind it? As mentioned previously, the plan of government is to obtain the loan from the Netherlands and with the loan purchase the generators. NVGB and the government will sign a lease-to-own agreement so GB can receive the generators from government. The government will pay back the loan with the payments received from GEBE. During the last months, together with GB, the government concluded that this option is more feasible and transparent. Second question of MP Gums. What happens in case of a disaster to the concept? Considering the responsibility that the government has towards the people of St. Martin in whatever unanticipated disaster that may present, the government will have to assume its responsibility to make sure that the commitments made are being adhered to. Depending on the complexity of the challenge, the government will pragmatically look for alternative solutions. Question 3 from MP Gums. Considering that our debt position is growing and we need to manage it carefully, what is the plan of government for TLM and GB? The government, in its capacity as shareholder representatives, will assume its responsibility for these very important government-owned companies. It is known that there is a backlog in the situation of these companies, being, for example, maintenance of the building or equipment, or the financial status and the level of service that should be provided. It is known what the government is doing with GB, at least on the urgent measures to try to guarantee a constant and stable service. The next step is to take measures to strengthen the management of GB and ultimately finalize the recruitment process for a more permanent managing board. With TLM, the government is currently at the table in discussing the various options for the survival of TLM. Answer for MP Otley. 75 million being requested for generators. Was there a bid carried out? Answer. At this moment, we still need to secure the loan first. As soon as this is arranged, GB will research the market for the best options, and if necessary, we will open a public bidding. Question 2 from MP Otley. What is the financial position of GB at this moment? According to in-house figures, the financial position is positive because the total inflow for the first 9 months of the year 2024 is 24 million guilders more than our outflow. What is GB's cash burn rate? According to NVGB, their cash burn rate is approximately 3 million guilders lower than their monthly collections. Question 4 from MP Otley. Does the Prime Minister support the SAAHA, the SAHA, the Sustainable and Affordable Healthcare Act, as is? Any attempt to reorganize the sustainability of the financing of the healthcare for the people of St. Martin has my support. My concern is that a broadening of the pool of premium contributors should result in more than keeping the financial balance on a thin line. My concerns regarding this thin line will further be discussed with the Minister of Health and also with the DCOMM. Question 5, does the government have any plans for new revenue-generating measures? Answer, It must be noted that this is an amendment of the budget 2024, which was already approved by Parliament based on the advice of the CFT to cut, and considering the available time to do so, the government's focus was on the cuts. The vision of this government, including possible measures taken by this government for, among others, revenue-generating measures and also cost-cutting measures, will be presented to Parliament in the draft budget 2025. Question 6. Does this amendment include securing financing to start anything new as it relates to drafting a new legislation for revenue-generating measures? I would like to refer to the previous answer, namely that the focus of this amendment was the cuts as advised by the CFT on the budget that was already approved in Parliament. Yes, with the severe cuts in personnel costs, how will the government increase productivity taken directly from the toelichting? It's about the toelichting for the budget of 2024, considering the, okay, and I will have to give answer to the toelichting. So considering those 2 months left over, the government expects that these cuts will have a limited effect on the recruitment and productivity for the remaining 2 months of 2024. In Vromi, 18.2 million was taken out of the capex for land purchasing. What are the ministry's position on the cuts made and SG's of each department, especially the justice sector? Answer: in the case of the Ministry of General Affairs, understandably there were some challenges raised by, especially but not limited to, the department which services the other ministries, like the Department of Facility Services, the ICT department, and the Department of Personnel and Organization. And of course, I would also like to refer to the previous answer. Question 2. I would like the names of all consultants hired by the ministry. I would like to know the contractual pricing for each consultant hired by the minister and how many cabinet staff are in the cabinet. First, I need to indicate that there are no consultants in the cabinet of the Ministry of General Affairs and are from the Prime Minister. The staff of the cabinet consists of 5 members, 3 civil servants, and 2 based on a labor contract. The monthly salary of all the staff is in accordance with the policy Plaatsing Politieke Assistenten. Question 3. Cry from the Prime Minister. He had to go to Washington, D.C. for 200 million awaiting. Was the 200 million ever received? Yes, the 200 million is under the supervision of the World Bank. The mission to Washington, D.C. was a key pending objective outlined in the transition document of the previous government. My involvement directly tackled the capacity challenges within Vromi, as now Ministry of Rome was also present, safeguarding the continuity and success of vital projects under the trust fund, for which over $200 million remains available. Key achievements of the mission included also additional financing for a new mental health facility, a commitment of the Netherlands for extensive technical assistance to the Ministry of Vromi, and a final approval of the steering committee on $25 million for the wastewater management project, as was published in the local media with the World Bank and NRPB officials in the month of August. I also propose to start negotiations for a possible extension of the supervisory role of the World Bank for after 2028. Question 4. Increase in throughput fee due to building of the bridge. Prime Minister stated that the throughput fee was established to pay for the bridge. Please provide clarity. When discussing the expenses of GB and the fuel clause, I was informed that, among others, the throughput fee was put in place to cover the payments of the loan received to build the Causeway Bridge. MP Arendel, SZV, there was a draft agreement on the amount owed. Is there an agreement? What is the timeline and where is it reflected? The meetings held with SZV have been highly constructive, and we are confident that finalizing this plan will not only bring much-needed clarity but also prevent similar issues in the future. The ministry is optimistic that an agreement can be reached soon, which will be reflected in the 2025 budget. Question 2 of Ms. MP Artwell-Irion. There was a draft to be executed for 2025. I don't see it reflected in the budget. Where are we regarding the maintenance of the building? The Department of Facility Services is rolling out a strategy to improve maintenance of government buildings. A key initiative is the Facility Management Information System, the FMIS, which will centralize data on maintenance, repairs, and asset management. This system, potentially funded by the Temporary Work Organization, the TWO, aims to boost efficiency, proactive planning, and transparency. The department is also addressing mold prevention, air condition servicing, and hazard testing, which have been managed reactively in the past. A proactive approach will ensure these tasks are handled regularly to protect the health and the safety of the civil servants and the public. Additional funding is requested to support this shift to proactive maintenance, which will reduce long-term costs and risks. The department is working with the TWO, the TWO, and other stakeholders to secure these funds, ensuring sustainability, safe, and cost-effective facility management. Question 3 from MP Irion Artwell. Parking across from the old post office. Where is that project now with the boom system? The company has already been identified. The budget already has a lot more potential to generate revenue. Why is that project not being looked into? The project at the old post office location was identified and planned. However, the public tender that took place in 2023 was never finalized because the awarding advice was not completed. Additionally, the budget was not allocated before the tender process occurred. As a result, the project has been put on hold. Currently, our focus is on the automatic parking boom payment system project at Klemla-Bega Square parking lot in Philipsburg, where a similar system was in place but was never replaced after Hurricane Irma. Concerning the project at Klemla-Bega Square, funds have already been allocated for its completion. The Department of Facility Services has now provided new terms of reference with all the updated specifications for this project. The terms of reference will be published in the newspaper next week, and once this is done, we will proceed with the public tender. The goal is to finalize the Klemla-Bega Square project with the system fully operational by second week of January 2025. For the project at the old post office location, we will ensure that the correct specifications are stipulated in the terms of references. We also must consider that this project involves significant investment, particularly concerning the infrastructure. The foundation at the old post office location must be concrete, lights need to be installed, and all our infrastructure must be factored into a public tender, followed by the automatic parking boom payment tender. We aim to begin the public tender for the old post office location by mid-December, with full operation of the system at Clem-La-Bega Square finalized by also the second week of January 2025. Questions posed by MP Richinel Brug. How do these cuts relate to the employee survey? For each ministry, what project services would be affected by each of the cuts? Two of the main points that came out of the employee survey were the need for career advancement and training. The cuts have a direct effect on the overall functionality of various departments. Prior to the additional cuts, the organization already was faced with a situation that 25% of functions within government were not filled, whereby these vacancies were not evenly distributed. The impact thereof is mostly noticeable in function scale 9 and higher. As the vacancies cannot be filled, it creates a higher workload for existing employees, which also has an effect on the increased departure of employees from the government apparatus. In addition, as the training budget has also been affected by the cuts, there is still no adequate investment in career development and training. Question 2 from MP Brug. How does the budget cut relate to the employee survey recently conducted and to the proposed cuts for personnel? Reference is made to the previous answer. In addition, I can inform Parliament that different departments have their challenges concerning the shortage of personnel. Question 3 from MP Brug. Are the cuts also when it comes to personnel? Are the cuts also, when it comes to personnel, a result of the recent increase of the situation where a lot of civil servants are leaving the government apparatus to the private sector? Is that one of the reasons why you see a drop in certain areas within budget? In general, the cuts are based on the advice of the CFT that we had to adhere to. Question 4, explain why exactly that amount was required for the amount to be adjusted. As mentioned, cuts were made on indication of the CFT. Of course, it was a choice of government where to cut. MP Westcott Williams, the pending draft law at the Council of Advice for review, specifically the draft law for the increase in the vacation allowance. What is the status of these laws and where are those laws that needed to be completed ever since it was stated that the vacation allowance and the increases were to be increased? The adjustments are in the National Ordinance amending de regeling vakantie en vrijstelling van dienst and the National Decree containing general measures amending de bezoldigingsregeling ambtenaren. In the meantime, the government has received the advice of the Council of Advice on both, and currently the NADE report is being finalized by the Department of Legal Affairs and the Department of P&O. It should be noted that just like other departments, these departments also have a shortage of personnel. Madam Chair, these questions these answers were directed to the questions of the Member of Parliament. Thank you very much.